Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is VIN0565. It is a 2016 Matador Red Mica, paint code 3R1, with an LA10 interior, which is called Stratus Gray. So basically it's red on white. MRM is what a lot of the Lexus guys call them, Matador Red Mica. So this one is for sale in Bellevue, Washington, in the Northwest United States, for those that are not familiar with the US. It is at a Lexus dealer, Lexus of Bellevue, with 48,000 miles for $62,000. They want quite a premium. Let's see if it's worth it. The mileage, 48,000 miles, slightly below average of what you would see for a 2016. Most of them that are gonna pop up for sale, the average, you're gonna see 80, 90 plus thousand miles for those, which is still low miles for a 2016, but for the GSFs, they generally were nice day cars. A lot of them were not daily driven, so lower mile cars are frequent that pop up. Production, Matador Red Micas from 2016 to 2020, there's only 106 that were made. That's it. So pretty low production, not very many. Only 17 of those 106 had Stratus Gray interior. So if you look at 2016 only, there's only 73 Matador Red, and there's only 16. So that means there's only one of the 2017s that has Stratus Gray interior. The rest of them are 2016. So this is one of 16 cars that exist for 2016 Matador Red Mica with Stratus Gray interior. It is a low production car. So onto the ownership. Carfax shows it as a 2-owner, no accident. AutoCheck shows it as a 2-owner, no accident. And Epic VIN shows it as a 3-owner, no accident car. The first owner was a corporate owner, but it was not Lexus. So it probably tells me it was either leased to somebody's company, a leasing company, something along those lines. But I don't see any red flags there. Previous sales, so this car was sold new in January of 2016. It was listed for sale in January of 2016 for $87,000 in Washington State. It actually sat there for sale until April of 2017, nearly a year and a half, and it still wasn't titled until June of 2017. So let's say a year and a half that this car sat for sale. And I've talked about this in other videos. These cars did not sell well, especially at the price point. $90,000 for these cars when you had the BMWs and Audis of the same vintage that were around the same price, but they were faster and they were faster, they were better equipped technologically, things like that. And so that's why these cars, you would see them frequently discounted $15,000, $20,000 sometimes to get them sold. And so that may have been the case with this one, where it sat around for a year and a half until it sold. I'm just theorizing here, but it could be that the Stratus Gray, a lot of people don't like a white interior because they're hard to maintain, hard to keep clean. That could be another reason why. So in September of 2023, that was the next time this car was listed for sale. And so that basically tells me that whoever originally bought it or leased it, they kept it for a while. Probably purchased it out of leasing, something like that, and just converted it to a personal use vehicle. $46,000, 39,000 miles is what it was for sale for, again in Washington State. And now July 23rd, 2025, $62,000, 48,000 miles, again in Washington. So this car has stayed in Washington State its entire life. It's been very well dealer serviced and lower than average mileage, but the price is pretty high. And so let's jump into that. Let's look at the pictures. So first off, the dealer, it still has more pictures coming soon. So it's like they took the pictures right when it came in on trade. So they've only got 7 pictures shown, and they're pretty poor pictures. So I don't have a lot to go on for the interior, but obviously if you followed some of my other videos, make sure you inspect the carbon fiber. Get the valley plate inspected. I'm sure Lexus has probably already done that. I don't think they're selling it certified pre-owned. It's probably too old for that. But so the things I would look for until I have better pictures to go off of, inspect the carbon fiber trim panels very closely. The center, the fronts, the doors. Make sure that it's not starting to delaminate. If it is, use that as a bargaining tool, especially at this price. Turn the wheels all the way. Make sure that it has no inner tire wear. If it does, you need lower control arm bushings and tires. But the valley plate, it's getting of that age. It's heat cycles and time. That's what causes the valley plate leak, not necessarily mileage. So there's some that I've seen that 150 plus thousand miles before the valley plate started to leak. But you have a car like this with 50 something thousand miles on it, and the valley plate's already been done. So This car came from Southern California. It had a lot of short trips, so it maybe didn't get fully up to temperature each time or something like that, but it's all that expansion and contraction that causes that seal to leak. So something to check out on this car. The pictures that I do see, it looks very clean. And I think the reason it looks clean is based on the service history. It looks like it has paint protection film on the front. So there's obviously another layer, another barrier protecting the paint and the trim on the front. And so that's pretty evident in the pictures that I see. Service history, January of 16, they installed low jack, window tint, and chip protection, which I think that is the paint protection film. And you obviously, if you look at it in person, go inspect, or if you're not going to buy it in person, if you have somebody look at it, or the salesman, just see if it has film on the edge of it or on the front end of it. It kind of sounds like what the case is here. July 2017, 3,000 miles. The low pressure fuel pump was reprogrammed for buzzing, making noise. Again, that's a common issue on these cars. That's already addressed. August of 2020, 25,000 miles. It had the high pressure fuel pumps, also known as the JLB recall. High pressure fuel pumps done. So that's done on this. So that's another good one to have it out of the way. February of 2023, 34,000 miles. It had all the brakes done on every corner. Again, around 30,000 miles. That's pretty common to see for normal driving. So probably wasn't driven hard, just kind of standard use. 30,000 miles for brakes, pretty normal. In July of 2025, done by this dealer, they refinished 4 wheels, removed some dents, and buffed and touched up the paint. That's noted in the service history. So it looks to me like all the green flags are there, and especially it's been dealer serviced. It's stayed in the Pacific Northwest. It's not in the the heavy salt states, lower than average miles. There's nothing that's really standing out other than a visual and mechanical inspection, which you should do to any of these cars that you're buying. But if they do provide more pictures, I may come back on and update this video. But from the outside looking in, it looks like a good one, but I don't have a whole lot to go off of for this one. Would I buy this car if I was in the market for a GSF? I think I would. But it comes down to personal preference. I don't really care for the Stratus Gray interior, but if that doesn't bother you, yeah, this car, it has the green flags. It doesn't have a history. It doesn't have a bunch of stories, pending a mechanical and obviously very close visual inspection, but I think the price is definitely high. And that's a common theme that you see, and especially with dealers, when these cars get sold at public auctions or even public sites like Cars and Bids, Bring a Trailer, they definitely command a premium. And the sales history for these cars, there's not tons of sales. So when one of these cars sells for $73,000 or $60,000 with similar mileage, the dealer thinks, oh, well, okay, we're gonna put ours up for that much and see if we can get it. And so I guarantee they didn't pay anywhere close to $62,000 for this car, but it's, for the mileage, this car should be like low 50s. And so $10,000+ too much, I think, is what is being asked here. Despite it being one of the good ones. It is a clean title, no accident, no stories car from what I can tell on this end. So it probably is worth checking out, but at $62,000, that's gonna be a tough sell. And if you really want one and it doesn't have any stories and it has paint protection film on the front, like everything is there, then it could be a good buy. But at $62,000, again, I think it's a bit much. So if you can pick it up for cheaper, by all means go for it. But 62 is a bit high for this car. And so here's proof right here. So these are previous sales of all of the GSF, 2016 GSFs. And so ones that have similar mileage, let's just go back a year. Previous sales for the last year for 2016s that have around 50,000 miles. So here is what it is. This is why I think this car is priced a bit too high. Yes, they are going up in value. They're not going up that much in value. And if it sells for 62, makes mine worth that much more, that's great. But I don't think it's gonna sell for 62. So prove me wrong. If you bought it and you paid $62,000 for it, let me know in the comments. But it is a good car, pending mechanical and visual closer inspection. So check this one out, guys. This is VIN 565. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.